So you're playing as Link. You face
That's the
Ganon.
blonde one, right?
They're both blonde, so I don't understand that question.
Cold Beet Soup is a podcast for casual fans who want to explore lore and fandom rabbit holes in music and gaming. And are sad sometimes.
Welcome to Cold Beet Soup.
Yes.
Happy day.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, I literally right before you hit me up, I was using. Do you know what a TENS unit is? It
Mm.
does has like little electroshock thingies. It helps with pain. My shoulder has been it's been killing me. So it like does like little electroshocks,
Mm.
and it supposedly like right now I don't feel great, but I think usually how it is for me is when I do it for like 30 minutes,
Mm.
the next day I feel better. So I'm
Oh, okay.
hoping tomorrow, because I was like, oh geez, it's been not a fun time. Uh, not a fun time doing that. So I definitely want it to get better. Anyways, that's not why we're here today. Nobody cares about your pain, Zorla. Silly. We're here to talk about. Oh, we should put the stream up, huh?
Yeah,
I should
one
do
of
that.
those days.
It's been a week, man. I just, I
Right? And it's
just,
only the halfway through.
yeah. I got nothing, man. I got nothing else to say. I'm gonna just. It'll get better, is what I tell myself. Um, I'm very excited about this because I have yet to see hot take, hot take incoming.
Mm.
I have yet to see good. Oh, that's really mean. No, 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 I don't mean that. I haven't seen anybody cover this yet where they compare and contrast all the different places that Echoes of Wisdom can fall on the timeline. I've
Mm.
only seen one or two videos of people with their specific theories. So I think this will be interesting. I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm playing through the game right now.
Oh,
Um, for those of
oh,
the,
okay.
huh?
Never mind. No, the
Oh.
the Discord was being a little fun where it's like, oh, stop watching stream.
It's like you don't need that. You don't need to see the slide. I mean, you
Yeah.
you don't like it's just a title slide, so it's not a big deal. But later on, that would not be great. Um, yeah. So this game came out actually the day because we're gonna put this out tomorrow, so it's gonna be the 2 week anniversary of this game coming out. So it's still fairly new. Um, but I've seen a lot of theories get thrown around, and I figure, why not just talk about all of them, compare and contrast. And we're also going to cover, I have a little outline here, you know me. Um, First, I actually want to bring up a timeline update because there was something Nintendo put out not that long ago that I think is interesting. Then we're going to actually cover the entire story. So, if you have, you know, stumbled on this episode and you're like, man, I don't want any spoilers, this is not the episode for you. We're gonna talk about the entire story of the game. Um,
Oh,
if
guess
you,
I'm gonna go then.
yeah, right. You're like, oh man, I was about to
I
play.
was about to play the game and all
Yeah,
the other games, so I don't.
and you know what's crazy is I spoiled the game for myself. So for the sake of content, I've watched all the cutscenes. I know everything that happens. So I don't want to call myself a hero, but
Okay, don't then.
no, I'm just playing. I'm playing. I don't mind like spoiling it for myself. It's not a big deal. And with my memory, I'll probably just forget it
Right.
when I get there anyway. So
Like that's the same thing with movies when people go like, "Oh, I'm sorry I spoiled it." I'm like, "Give it a day, I won't remember."
yeah, you're like, I won't even retain this. Like, it's fine. Um, so we're gonna cover the story just to give some context for Vicky as we talk about these theories. And I got the major ones. on here. The one of them being on the Fallen Hero timeline, the darkest timeline, in different places.
Oh,
So
hold
we're
on,
gonna
you
talk about.
froze. It's
This
already
is not gonna be
beginning.
good.
Thanks,
I
Discord.
don't want this for this episode because I've worked hard on this, and this is not the time. This is gonna be my 16th reason why, or what is it? 15 reason
It's 13.
13.
You went above and
I got
beyond.
too many. I got too. I lost count. I lost count. Try me, Discord. Try. See what happens. There's different places that people have put it on the Fallen Hero timeline. So, I'm gonna talk about all the ones I've seen. The other one is the child timeline, and then the final is f all that. It's a brand new timeline. None of it makes sense. There is a fourth one that I saw that's not on here. Man, it sounds so bogus to say it like this. I didn't think it deserved a bullet point.
Damn. Damn.
Damn. You'll see why. Um, Man, that's harsh. Anyways, let's get into it. So not that long ago, I think it was close to when Echoes of Wisdom came out. I didn't actually look at the exact date, but this is fairly recent. Nintendo had a live, it's like a live event in Sydney, Australia. They showcased a bunch of stuff, and one of the things they put out was this new timeline. New
Oh, hold on.
timeline.
Aç filmu ute veli. Ne?
Ne valgesim Shendon?
No, he asked if the dogs ate.
Nah, we ain't eating today. We're
Yeah.
having Zelda for dinner. You mean? Anyways, I say new timeline in quotes because you can't really read it super well. This is just a screenshot of the thing. This is the same
Mhm.
timeline that we covered. Um Also, for those of you that are new, we have covered this entire timeline on this podcast. If this is something you're interested in, I'm going to link the first episode. And if after the first one you're like, "Ugh, this is trash," then that's fine. But if you like it,
We'll just cry, but that's cool.
yeah, you can watch the other ones too. But I cover it pretty thoroughly. And then the newest thing is now you see Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on there, but it's
Mhm.
like not on there. It's kind of interesting. They just kind of put it on there um as a kind of, it exists, but it's not under any branch yet, which is, I mean, it aligns with what they've said. I did find it really interesting that there's no line connecting the two because I personally thought the games were sequential. But guess I don't know anything about anything. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, I wanted to point that out because I thought it was interesting. And how we talked about like a soft reboot, which I feel like the way this is laid out is looks like a soft reboot. So
Hmm.
we had a good prediction, I think. But anyways, just wanted to point it out because it was recent. Thought that was cool that they talked about the timeline. Now we're
Okay.
gonna get into the story. This game starts out. You actually start out as Link. So you're playing as Link. You face
That's the
Ganon.
blonde one, right?
They're both blonde, so I don't understand that question.
All right, thanks for answering.
What kind? No, it's the pig. Like what? What?
Wait, I thought one was a brunette. No.
You can't be real. You can't. You can't. The amount of PowerPoints where I've showed you, this can't be real, man.
Like a
17th reason why.
like a hint of brown, you know? Like it's
I
one
just get
was
a
really
little
blonde.
notepad. I just start writing in it. I just start writing my reasons out. Thought Zelda was a brunette after we had 5 episodes. Anyways, talking about Zelda. So
Okay,
yeah, you're
so
yeah, you start as Link. You
you're
have
gonna
like your full
answer
hearts.
my question? Just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
so glad I can't see you right now, bro. I'm so glad I can only see this PowerPoint because I'm gonna tell you, I keep finding gray hairs and people, Zorla, why you so stressed? This is why. I'm playing. I'm playing.
Okay, continue, continue. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Link
can
the
talk.
brunette.
Cool. Wow. Awesome. Link fights Ganon. Zelda is captured in a crystal, by the way, so you're coming up to save Zelda. You fight Ganon. He disappears into like a puff of purple smoke, and then you go up to Zelda, and then the ground opens up. So you start to disappear into that crack. And As you can see, Link uses a bow and arrow to hit Zelda's crystal so she can get out.
Mm.
And Link disappears into that void, and that another rift actually like comes up behind you and starts chasing you. So you like run out of the dungeon that way. And then go to Hyrule Castle to tell your father what happened. Then he gets swallowed up. It's not funny. It's just
Hey.
crazy how like back to back, he gets swallowed up. His advisor is the lady with the blue hair, and then the head of his security. So they all get got. But this time when they actually have like duplicates come out. They have like red eyes at first, but then it's kind of like part of their transformation. I just took a screenshot there so you can see like red eyes equals evil. They are bad. Um, but they come back looking like exact copies of themselves. Um, and then the king is like, it's actually Zelda's fault that this is happening, so we need to throw her in jail. And the guards are like, okay, that seems kind of. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh, oh, it's not happening. Oh,
The faces you're making.
oh, I hate that. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so they throw her in jail, even though they think it's weird that the king is accusing her. So he's not acting like himself,
Mm.
probably because he's not himself. It's a fake king. So she's in jail. Try is this little yellow thing, um, shows up and is like, looks like you're in a jam. Here's this wand. And it's called the Try Wand. Very creative name.
Wow,
And
so
with this
creative.
Yeah, you know how Nintendo is with this stuff. With this wand, you can create echoes of things, which is just copies of objects. So, like, as you're playing the game, sometimes objects will be glittering, and you can,
Mm.
like, wave the wand over it and make a copy, like a pot or a tree. The way you get out of this prison cell, you can, like, see just barely off to the left, but it's like a little bench, and you just can just, like, make, like, a little kind of staircase to get out. So this, like, kind of parkour mechanic where you're using objects to get around stuff is very obvious in the beginning of the game. But Try is like, yeah, I'll help you get out. And is it's similar. Try is like the Navi,
Mm.
the Fi from Skyward Sword. This is the companion for this game.
Mm.
I did want to point out this scene too because like as I was researching this, I remembered Twilight Princess, where Wolf Link is in the prison cell and Midna shows up, and Midna's like, looks like you're stuck, huh? Don't you wish you could get out of this prison cell? Like, well, she's a bit more sassy, but she helps him in that case. So I thought that was a kind of cool parallel in that way. Although Try is not sassy, Try is like really nice. But yeah, you escape the prison cell. You do run into Impa, who in this game is your advisor, or I guess like a caretaker type person. Like she looks after you, so she knows that something's off and helps you escape. And she actually helps you uh put change into this cloak. It was the same cloak that Link was wearing, this blue one. But it's funny
Mm.
because like you see her face and you can see Zelda, but when she's wearing this cloak, like nobody knows who she is. But when she puts the hood down, they're like, "Oh, Zelda, it's you!" Like best disguise in the
like
world.
Superman with the
Like
glasses.
Superman with his glasses. I was like, all right, y'all, this is ridiculous. Um, is that a motorcycle or a
Yeah.
helicopter? Oh, okay.
Motorcycle.
I was like, you got a helicopter touching down, or what's going on?
I did have a
Like, yo,
question though. I
huh?
don't know if you'll answer this later. In this
Yeah.
game, do you fight things or is it more like just puzzles?
I'm actually glad you brought that up because that was the next thing I was going to mention. Is with the wand, you can also make echoes of enemies. So when you fight an enemy, for the first time you defeat it, it's like a little mini one shows up glowing, and you can make an echo of it, and then
Mm.
you can spawn that enemy to fight for you. Because Zelda is a lady and a princess,
Oh,
and she
you
doesn't
froze.
fight.
You froze. Still frozen.
Okay,
Hello,
I'm gonna just
darkness,
wait.
my old friend. Oh, there you are.
I was saying that Zelda's a lady and she doesn't fight, so you use echoes to fight.
Ah, we're taking it back to those times, huh?
Yeah, back to the olden days where women belonged in the kitchen. No, I'm just kidding.
Or in a
But yeah,
prison cell.
it's different. I like combat, so that was probably like my biggest dislike with the game starting off. Like you have to be a bit more creative.
Mm.
I will say once I got more echoes of enemies, then I'm like, okay, then I could find the enemies that I like that move kind of fast, and it would feel like the combat wouldn't feel so slow. Because sometimes I would just be waiting. I'm like, okay, so are you gonna kill it, or because you could just watch, like you have to kind of stay away so you don't get hit. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, you make it out of the castle. Oh yeah, Impa also tells you, she's like, yeah, hey, use this cloak to disguise yourself and go to I think it was her brother or her cousin, one of the two. But he's got a house. So you go to his house and he's like some scientist dude. Um but they talk about how there are two major rifts that show up. So these things are rifts that are opening up all over Hyrule. Nobody knows where they're coming from, but they just keep happening. And the two major rifts are on opposite ends of the map. So one is at the Gerudo; those are the people, the same tribe that Ganondorf comes from. And then the other are the Zora, which are those water people. So it's a kind of twofold adventure where Zelda is trying to find her father in the rifts, and
Hmm.
then Tri says that I know how to mend these rifts, so I can help you with that as well. So when you enter the first rift, you get to see how the other side looks, and it's called the Still World, which is as you would imagine, when there's people trapped in there, they're still, they're like petrified.
Whoa.
They can't move. Yeah,
No way.
it's very Nintendo. These names are not super crazy. So it's kind of cool. It's like a glowy place, and like you can see the tree in the background. Like you gotta jump around and look for stuff. So you're searching through that area, and then you actually do run into Link, but it's not good Link, it's bad Link.
Oh, red eyes,
Um
red eyes. Yes, I see.
Red eyes, red eyes. So you have to fight Link. So you fight Link, and after you fight him, he also poof turns into purple smoke, but he leaves his sword behind. So you can actually pick up the sword, and when you do that, you have this like swordsman mode where you can actually use a sword and like slash at things. Now, if you could do this the entire game, it would be pretty OP. So they do put it on like a little they have like a little energy bar for it, a little timer.
Mm.
But the main point of it is you see this little like archway behind her that's got the like black goopy stuff.
Yeah.
That's like evil. So the sword helps you dispel that evil. Like you slash at it and it makes it go away. So it's useful for those types of things. And what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, yeah. So the sword in this game, the sword is referenced as the Sword of Might. They don't call it the Master Sword. I'm pointing it out now. We're going to get into it, into the theories part more, but Just wanted to note that. I also wanted to note that this is not the first time in a game where we have seen a sword not be called the Master Sword. So it's not like a big shock for those that follow the lore. Um, so, anyways, yeah, so you do that. Link's fight was like a mini boss type fight. You later find this like rock monster. I didn't put a picture of him because I'm like, whatever, it's just a bunch of rocks, like not a big deal.
Man, I wanted to see a picture of the rocks.
He I can look them up. It's just a
No, it's
bunch of
okay.
rocks
No, it's
meshed
okay.
together. But oh yeah, when you get into that rift, before even entering, Try tells you like, "Oh, I sense my friends are in here, but they're trapped, and they were trapped like in that rock monster. So once you defeat that monster, all the tries they just start floating like wee, and they're
Whee!
all yeah, they're free. So that's pretty cool. Um, now I don't know how this goes, but in my case, I went to Gerudo first, and when I went to the Gerudo rift, I found the advisor, the lady with the blue hair. I found her stuck in it. And then when I went to the Zora rift, I found the head of security guy. So I didn't find the king in either one, but I don't know if like if you go in the Zora first, would you still find the advisor first or would you find the head of security first? That I don't know. Someone can confirm in the comments, but so you find one person in one rift, you find another person in another rift, but the king is nowhere to be seen. So the only conclusion they can come to is like, okay, well maybe he's stuck in Hyrule Castle because there that big rift open up behind him. Maybe he's over there.
Mm.
So now after you've mended these other two rifts, you have a bit more, power with you. Try has some more power, and you can enter that rift in Hyrule Castle, and you see these three show up, the fake ones, but they like disappear and turn into Ganon, and then you have to fight Ganon again. Now, I want to talk about this because it's going to come up quite a bit in the theories portion. But this Ganon is not the real Ganon
Yeah, because it has
because
red eyes. I can't
thank
hear
you.
you clapping, so
You
it's
can't
just
hear me
silent.
clapping, but I thank you. I didn't even think about that, but yes, it's an echo of Ganon. If you haven't figured it out by now, they're just echoes, they're copies. Even the first one that you fought, because he turns into that purple smoke, but the red eyes is the perfect, like, that's a good, yeah,
Does
that's a
it talk
characteristic.
about how this echo stuff happened?
Yes,
Okay,
later
okay,
on.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, they cover it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, we're just getting started. Um, but yeah, so you fight Ganon, and you're about to go back into the surface world when the wall crashes open and this purple glob thing shows up, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then Link somehow shows up behind you with like a baseball bat, and he's like, yeah, yeah, knocking away at that guy. So he like knocks that guy away. And then he gets poor guy because he just helped you out. He gets captured in a crystal, and then his crystal just gets like pushed back into that like gap behind as you're going back up to the surface world, so you can't do anything about it. So now Link is trapped down there. I mean, he was before, but now he's like really trapped because he's in a crystal.
Mm.
Um, so you come back up. Your father was in that rift, so you got him out. He he doesn't know what happened. So you explain like, "Hey, these rifts have been opening up. We closed them all up, but we don't know what's happening." And as you're talking about it, one of the guards comes and he's like, "Oh, by the way, hi guys. Three new rifts just opened up. Thought you might want to know about that." And the three regions where the rifts are opening up are coinciding with the goddesses. Remember the three goddesses at the very beginning of the
Yep.
Zelda lore? The three goddesses came down. So it's like going in tandem with those, and the king's like, ooh, that's not a coincidence because around those regions you can get the goddess like sanctions, and once you have those three, then you can get the prime energy. Prime energy is the Triforce, but they don't call it the
Oh, I
Triforce.
thought you meant that KSI and Logan Paul drink.
Imagine, imagine like photoshopping that in his hand right here. He's like, yeah, that prime energy. Like, no, it's literally like, and that's another thing. One more thing I want to mention. They don't call it the Triforce, they call it the prime energy. And Ganon, they don't call him Ganon, they call him the blue monster. And these are important things to point out because usually people know what the Triforce is and what Ganon is. And
Mm,
that's going to be like really heavy points that I talk about in the theory portion. But it's very interesting that that is how they're referenced. But yeah, he talks about that. He's like, yeah, it's got to be something with that Zelda. You got to go and like get those things and close up the rifts, and we can figure out what's going on. Um, at this portion in the game too, you know how there's usually some legend that gets passed down, some story. So the story for this game is that when evil strives for the prime energy, a wise priestess and a courageous hero will appear. Together, the priestess and the hero will render this evil asunder. So, priestess being Zelda and the hero being Link. It's just kind of cool because the priestess is mentioned first. Like not they don't focus on the hero so much. They like mention her first. So I thought that was kind of cool. But basically hinting at that Zelda and Link will fight off whatever this evil is called.
mm.
So you go around. This is what the goddess sanctions look like.
So
Um, I couldn't, yeah. I couldn't find a picture with all three. Um, but it's the same like this is Din's. Then there's the one for Nairu and for Aurora. It's just the same thing but green and blue with the different symbols on it. So after you get the first one, you don't get the backstory. But after you get the second one, then you hear the backstory from whatever goddess you talk to. So that's another cool thing with this game is they have the three areas, but you can go to whichever area you want first. So it's whatever order you want to make it. So whatever your second one is, that's when they start telling you the backstory because the goddesses know. So that goddess tells you that before creation, there was a void. There was just nothingness. And no matter what they tried to create, or what was trying to be created in this void, it would just get consumed. Nothing would happen. And the thing that was causing that was called null. Null's desire is to just consume the world, consume all life. It just wants there to be a void. Now the
mm,
three goddesses are like, well, that sucks. That's like not a fun world to live in. So they decided to create the skies and the land and put them on top of Null to contain him. And Null would try to escape by creating rifts to try and return the world into a void. But the goddesses brought guardians, those are the tries, and they would seal up those rifts, and that's how that balance was kept. Now, clearly, something is out of balance because these rifts are opening up more frequently, and the tries are getting sucked in now. So that's something that wasn't happening before. Um, this is really interesting because this is the first time in a long time that Nintendo has talked about Zelda lore from the beginning part. Usually when we go went through those games, it's some like reiteration of the Zelda, Link, Ganon thing.
mm.
This is the first time they're talking about like when the goddesses were around, what the goddesses did. Like this almost sounds like it predates Demise. Demise was that first bad guy who he was the one that cursed them with that
Oh, with
reincarnation.
the yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the one that's like, ah, you guys suck, so you're just gonna have to deal with this over and over again. Um, because that was his like final middle finger. So I just thought that was interesting that they approach the story in this way. It just hasn't been done in a very long time. So I think that's really cool. So you get the second sanction, you get that backstory, then you get the third sanction, and as you're coming out, Noel actually ambushes you and kind of envelops you in the purple stuff so he can make a copy of you. So he makes a copy of you, Zelda, and that's when you're like, oh shit, he's probably trying to get the prime energy, the Triforce. So now that I have the three things, I gotta go and see where the Triforce is and stop him, right? So
Excuse me.
in
You
this
mean prime
game,
energy?
prime energy, but I'm just gonna call it the Triforce. It's too many words. Um, in this game, the prime energy is located beneath the Deku tree. You remember the Deku tree? He's
Yeah.
yeah, he's been a guardian in a lot of the games. This is the first time he's actually guarding the entire Prime Ener Triforce. I'm just gonna call it Triforce. It's
Prime
the first time
energy.
he's guarding the whole Triforce. But unfortunately, the fake Zelda beat you to it, as you can see in the slide. He's like, "Oh, that was an echo. Oh, she fooled me." And it's like, "God damn it, Deku Tree! Like you have one job." But she looks just like you, so like, fair. So the Triforce is actually, if you step on it, on that little like pedestal thing, it lowers you into the ground, and that's when you see fake Zelda, and she tries to touch the Triforce, but the Triforce was like, I know you're fake. So it breaks into pieces. A piece of it goes to you, the Triforce of Wisdom. A piece of it goes to her, the Triforce of Power. And then the Triforce of Courage makes this little Triforce size portal and like disappears. And she's like, ugh, I don't have time to fight you right now. I'm going to go look for that other Triforce, and you'll probably follow me so then I can just fight you and steal the Triforce for myself. So she goes in, you go in. When you go in, you see this. So it's like a mega still world, but this purple thing is null. Kind of
Ooh.
looks like a virus or something. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like when you see those like medical thingies. So yeah, you see that. And sure enough, the Triforce of Courage went to Link, and that's where Link is. So you navigate through the area, and then that's where the fake Zelda is. So it's a Zelda versus Zelda fight. You defeat her. When you defeat her, she turns into purple smoke, poof, and goes into a glob of it goes into this background part. So the Triforce went with it, that Triforce of Power. But now you
Well.
Link is yeah. But now Link is free. So you and Link can work together, two pieces versus one. So you help him escape, you give him his weapons back, and he just like slices open this little kind of portal within Null, and you go inside it and you're like in Null's body. So this is kind of cool. When you end up facing him, like this is like you're like in his body facing him. But yeah, you just navigate it. It's like a final dungeon. You face off with Null. The very final thing is getting the Triforce out of him. So you guys like work together to get it out. And then at the very end, the Triforce is reunited. Hooray! And then they touch it and they're like, "We want to bring light." And then all the rifts go away, all the darkness goes away. Hooray! Everybody's happy. And the game ends. This is from the end credit scene, which I thought was really cute because it's like Zelda kept the wand uh, as a kind of like a memory of Tri. But yeah, that's the story. I think the story's really cool. Like I'm excited. I stopped right after I brought the king back.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, now I'm at the part where it's the three different rifts. So I'll have to go through those three areas, those three dungeons. But yeah, it's cool stuff. I like it a lot. Do you have any questions about the story before I get into the theory part? I just
No,
want
the
to make
story
sure.
you covered most of the you covered everything I had questions about, so we're Gucci Gucci.
Pat myself on the back. Yeah, not my first rodeo. So now we're going to get into the theory part. The slide looks like a lot, but I
Backpack,
promise
backpack.
I'm the backpack loaded up with things and knickknacks too. I
And then wait,
so this
that's
is
the wait, the map song is on the map,
I'm the
on
map,
the map,
I'm the
on
map.
the map.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Damn, we sang the wrong thing. It's catchy though.
Yeah.
So this is the Fallen Hero timeline slide. I'll explain why these three are on the slide. But first, I put the actual timeline up here because there's been several spots that people have theorized where this game could go, and I'm gonna go over all of them. Some I'll give more detail than others. A couple people are like, it happens before Link to the Past, which okay. Um, so my I'm trying to be diplomatic. Man, I sound like such a sweat. Like I sound
Yeah,
like,
you're
oh my
like,
God.
okay.
Actually, no, but let's talk about it. So, Link to the Past, I can see the similarities. So, one of the major arguments for this timeline is why I have this map icon. The map, the map you see right here, this is the Link to the Past map. The
Mm,
map you see behind it is the Echoes of Wisdom map. It's just it looks like an expanded version of the map. The red circles are where the different tribes are. Like this is the Gerudo, this is Azora. So whoever, I think I saw this on Twitter. So whoever did it just like expanded on where the tribes are. But
mm.
that's the major thing was like, oh, it's before Link to the Past because the maps are similar. Um, a Link Between Worlds also has a similar map, so like that's another big reason why people just put it on this timeline in general. My biggest issue with this is um how did they make an echo of Ganon? Uh because they just imprisoned Ganon. The
You
imprisoning war. Do you
froze.
remember that one?
Hold
That
on, you
was like the
froze.
oh.
You said the last thing you said. It was a quick freeze. You said, "How did they make an echo of Ganon?"
Yeah, how'd they make an echo of Ganon like because in this game you don't even have Ganon, it's Aghanim, that wizard guy.
Mm,
Um, but if you put it before, the only thing you have is the imprisoning war, where they imprisoned Ganon. Um, so at some point he should have escaped, or I guess they Null managed to make a copy before. But that's my only thing is I'm like I don't like that. I also am not a fan of a game having a bigger map and then going to a smaller map. Like I could definitely see it coming after because it's like an expansion of the Link to the Past map. But the going the other way around where it's like bigger map first, then smaller map is kind of I'm like, it doesn't flow as well, at least to me. So but people have said this, so I wanted to bring it up. Then there's people that said it comes after, which is like, okay, fair. That Ganon component still kind of comes in because you don't really see Ganon in Link to the Past. But between putting it around here, I've seen that too, because both of these games are kind of like side quest games. Like
mm.
Link's Awakening is the one where he woke up on that island. Oracle is with
Oh, okay.
those two witch ladies that like teleported him to different places. So they are like side quest games. Um, but another theory, and one that I found the most interesting, was actually putting it right after Link Between Worlds. And Link Between Worlds that also has a similar map to Link to the Past. And the thing I find interesting about this one is because this person, this is a person on Reddit, by the way, that had a very long theory on the Zelda subreddit. I'm giving them kudos. I don't remember their username, so I'm sorry if you're watching and you're like, oh my God, she's the worst. Um, but they talk about Null and they give an explanation as to Null and why he's doing the things that he's doing. And I thought that was really interesting and I'm gonna bring it up because it's well thought out. Um, so if you I don't know if you remember Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds was the one where Yuga comes out of a rift and starts turning people into paintings and he takes Zelda and then like jumps back into the rift and there you find out that there's a parallel world called Low Rule and like um their Triforce was destroyed.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, their Triforce was destroyed, so they're trying to get our Triforce now. And then like you think Hilda is helping us, but she actually sent Yuga over. Um and yeah, it's like a whole oh my dad's calling. I can't pick up now, but I'll tell him later. Um but So that happens, and then eventually you restore low rules Triforce. So yay, happy, happy, fun time. But Yuga does resurrect Ganon, this blue Ganon version. So that blue Ganon does show up. So that I'm like, okay, that tracks. But the explanation they came up with was so when Low Rule destroyed its Triforce, they also unknowingly destroyed or deactivated the only things keeping Null at bay in their dimension, which was the Tris. So without the Triforce, you didn't have the Tris. I'm like, okay, now you're operating on the theory that Null exists in Low Rule, which
Hmm.
it's a parallel world, so maybe I mean, that's another like I want to point that out because you're just operating on this fact that Null exists. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm gonna be flip flopping a lot. I'm gonna mess with your guys' brains because and now you'll get to see what's going on in my head and be concerned probably. Um, so but anyways, we're operating on this theoretical that Null exists on that world and the tries were gone and now Null is like going and destroying their world. And that's kind of why their world part of why their world was crumbling. But then once their Triforce got restored, the tries came back and they undid everything that Null did. But even though Null lost his progress, he learned that, oh, this Triforce is something important and these tries are something important. Maybe there's something I can do to kind of either get this power so then I'm not suppressed anymore and I can just continue to consume. So, I don't know how long Null was scheming. I guess that's part of the theoretical, but that can be kind of why Null started to capture the tries because that was another thing was like the tries used to be able to stop Null, but for some reason Null found a way to like consume them instead, which or and trap them so they can't do their jobs. And he's with that too, he's getting their echo powers. Because another thing, when Null creates an echo of something, it learns all the things that you know. So like once it did the echo of Zelda, it knew like, okay, time to go to the Deku tree. Because it knows all the things that Zelda knows. And same with
Okay.
the tries can make echoes, so it's like, so Null is learning a lot of stuff. Um Maybe with Ganon too, Null, did the echo of Ganon, and now Ganon doesn't like Link, so he's like, I got to capture this Link guy because he's going to be a problem, right? Because Link's always a problem for Ganon. So
Hmm.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's really well thought out. Um, the only issues I have with this are I have this slide. This is my weaknesses slide. Zelda looking confused. Um, my biggest thing about this is still that argument on how did they get an echo of Ganon. The person does bring this up in the thread. So they mention how like um okay, maybe Ganon got resurrected at some point and then a copy was made, which is like, okay, that can happen. Or when Ganon got defeated, he got sent to that still world, the still world that Null, operates in, and that's when the copy was made. And I'm like, okay, like I guess it's a lot of hypotheticals, but
A lot of
isn't all of
it's
this?
they sound weak. They don't sound like concrete.
Yeah, it's hard, but to be fair too, some of Nintendo's explanations for things are like, huh? Like so like I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, like at least they thought about this thing. Another thing that is the Triforce. How do they not know what the Triforce is? They know it's prime energy, but they don't call it the Triforce. And the thing is, like, my biggest weakness with this timeline is like thematically in this timeline, uh they know who Ganon is. In any other game where he's come up, they know it's Ganon. This one has Ganon, that one has Ganon. Like Ganon shows up multiple times, so it's not really a shock as to who he is. Same with the Triforce. The Triforce is plays a pretty big role. I mean, for especially Link Between Worlds. But that's another thing that I'm like, I don't really like that. But you could make that argument of, well, so much time has passed and they just forgot, which has happened. I mean, I would even, if I were to put it somewhere, I would even put it after all these games, way after Link Between Worlds. Give Null time to figure his shit out. And then that way, if it's like way, way, way after, okay, maybe there's a
Oh,
chance that
so
they forgot what it is. But yeah, that's where it's been placed on the Fallen Hero timeline. Um I think some people have said it at the end too. But just bringing up all those different options. The next big one is the child timeline. That's the one with Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Sword Adventures. It's a shorter timeline.
mhm.
Uh, and this is my strengths slide. So this is what the fuck are these things? Because in this timeline, Triforce doesn't really show up. Majora's Mask doesn't have it. Four Swords doesn't have it. Twilight Princess, you see it a little bit,
Mhm.
um, but it doesn't. It's not like an active role. So the theme is, it's very. If you put this game, people have been putting it at the very end of this timeline. It makes sense because the Triforce has been dormant. Nobody, the symbol's there, but the information about
Keep
it's lost.
one sec. Keep pas filmuos su tėveli. I called him even earlier today. I was like, I will be recording.
Uh, he just wants to make sure you eat.
Mm.
Like, no, it's Zelda. Um, so yeah, it's possible because the Triforce has been dormant. That's like, okay, tracks. Ganon also shows up in this game. He shows up in Four Sword Adventures, but very briefly, he gets sealed away. So that's another thing is he does show up, he does get sealed away. So it's possible that people don't remember him because he only shows up once. Like
Mm.
Ganondorf is in this one, but not Blue Pig Ganon. So that's some of the strengths. And then another one, which I'm like, I'll bring it up, but I don't think it's like super a big deal, is I did a picture of the Gerudo with a thumbs up. So the relationship with the Gerudo is good in this timeline. You actually help the Gerudo in this game.
Mm.
Whereas in other timelines, it's not so much. To be fair, in this timeline, the Gerudo don't really show up. So it's like it helps the argument for this timeline, but it doesn't really make a difference for that other timeline because you just don't see the Gerudo at all. Um, although I wonder if that's the one. There was one timeline where they had put in some like war with the Gerudo. Do you, man, we talked about this. Someone brought up a
I don't
war, but it's
remember.
not like, yeah, someone brought up some war. Some people talk about it on like the Zelda forums and stuff, but it's not actually like officially confirmed by Nintendo, I don't think. But there's a lot of evidence showing that there was some sort of a war, and I feel like it was that Fallen Hero timeline, but I can't remember. Someone in the comments will remember, maybe. No one comments. Like
Everyone's
I'll
like,
just never know. Yeah, I'll just never know. Um, the weaknesses. The weaknesses for this one. There are several. This is the first time in the Zelda series. Believe me when I tell you, I looked at every single map for every single Zelda game. It would be the first time in this series that a game with a similar map to a game in a different branch of the timeline belongs in a whole other branch. It's never happened before where games with similar maps are in different branches. They always end up in the same branch.
mm.
That's not to say Nintendo won't do it because they made Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and that was just kind of YOLO, we do what we want. So
Yep.
it's not, but it would be the first time. Another weakness is every single time, and this is like my personal soapbox I'm going to get on. Whenever they make a new game, they just throw it on the Fallen Hero timeline. They have not touched the child timeline, they haven't touched the adult timeline in forever. Since 2009, they haven't put in a new game in there. But who's to say someone wasn't sitting in that writing room in Nintendo like, hey, how about we just like mess with everybody and put this in the child timeline? And they're like, whoa. give this man a raise because
Sounds
they
like
haven't.
Nintendo.
But seriously, like these there's 7 games in this timeline, and the other timelines only have 3, so they haven't touched it. But again, could be a strength and weakness, right? Because maybe they decided they do want to touch it. Another thing is null. I want to bring up null. The explanation I came up with, I know is probably someone's gonna be like, Sora, that's not even that strong. Um, so because there was an explanation for null in the Fallen Hero timeline, I feel like I should give it a shot to explain him in this one. My thought process for null starting to attack in this timeline, I like to look at the timelines thematically, like what is the general vibe of this timeline, what are things that are happening in this timeline. So in this timeline the theme is ancient evil. Majora's Mask had that. Majora's Mask was old as hell. It was an ancient evil that Skull Kid stupidly put on, and then bad things started happening. Twilight Princess, it was the Twilight Realm, which had the descendants of the interlopers. I think they're called the interlopers. The ancient sorcerers, descendants of those who decided to come to Hyrule and start wrecking shit. Granted, Ganon was like telling Zant to do it, but Zant was already disgruntled. Four Sword Adventures, Vati comes back. Vati is that ancient evil from Four Swords in the very beginning of the timeline. So these are all ancient evils that come back to you know, wreck shit in Hyrule. So Null, as we know, was an ancient because the goddesses talked about him. So it was like
Mm.
from the long, long time ago. So who's to say it's like it's almost like a cycle, right? So this is just a cycle repeating, but with a different ancient evil. Null, so it just goes with that theme, really. Just because you defeat one evil, that just doesn't mean that another one's not going to show up. If anything, it might accidentally pave the way for another one. Maybe when they sealed Ganon in this four sword, the seal didn't actually hold. And it weakened, and Ganon got out, and Null was able to make a copy and start his scheme. I mean, that's not the first time the seal has weakened. Let's be
Right.
real. They're pretty bad at it, to be honest. So it tracks quite a bit for them. So that's just my thing that I came up with for this. Is he kind of starts the cycle anew with that. So that's the child timeline. Now, the nuclear option. I love this slide. I was like, I'm just gonna put a nuke on here. So there is that subset of people that say, you know what? There's too many changes. They talk about a new creation story with a new ancient evil. Zelda's the protagonist. Um, all this stuff is just different and it doesn't really fit in nicely. So maybe it's just a brand new branch. Hey, they made Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom and those don't really align anywhere. Maybe this is part of that new branch. Who knows? Which is always an option. Um, Personally, I think that there are too many similarities to previous games for it to be enough to just be like completely brand new. Um, but if it happens, I would not be shocked. Um, I can't see Nintendo coming up with a whole new timeline. I feel like they're pretty tired of
Yeah.
doing timelines. The fourth bullet point that I didn't make a bullet point for. Somebody made a video about their theory on the timeline placement. Their theory was, and I'm only bringing this up not to like throw shade on the video. I have seen other people commenting this as well. Um, Guys, I've been monitoring these threads for like ever since the game came out. So I apologize if you're like, Jesus Christ, touch some grass. Like, yeah, I take my research very seriously. Um, so they thought that the game takes place before Skyward Sword. For context, let's look at the slides. Skyward Sword, can you see it? Can you see the timeline?
Yeah, I see the timeline, but
Okay,
where's Skyward's? Oh,
this
there.
one. Right here. It's at the very beginning. This is the game where Demise shows up. Um, and that's where the cycle begins with Zelda, Link, Zelda and Link. Then eventually you get the
Mm.
first occurrence of Ganondorf actually is right here. Ganondorf doesn't show up until here. So, my biggest thing with this is if it's so early, how'd you get the echo of Ganon? Because you need to create in order to create an echo, you need to have touched the original thing. Another big argument for this one. Oh, well, there's no Master Sword. Okay. Minish Cap doesn't have a Master Sword. Four Swords doesn't have a Master Sword. Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks doesn't have a Master Sword. Majora's Mask doesn't have a Master Sword. There are so many games. Link's Awakening, I don't think. There are so many games where they don't call it a Master Sword. Like Nintendo don't care. Like that's not enough, in my opinion, to put it up here. Just because you're adding the creation aspect, I feel like that's not enough. So, yep,
All
I
right.
feel like I'm gonna get raked on the coals for that. I feel like I don't know how this is gonna go. It's either gonna be like 10 views or a lot. And I feel like, you know what? I want to hear your guys' theories. And if you put out a theory, please think about all the different components that we talked about. If you can like come up with nice, even I don't think every explanation is going to be perfect because it's hard to do. It's hard to do. It's hard to do because there's so many games, there's so many different nuances and such. Um, so, but at least try. The thing that like drives me crazy is they're like, oh, it's got to be because in this timeline because they have the rock salt as an item and rock salt shows up in this one game, and I was like, maybe they just needed rock salt as an ingredient for something, and that's why. Like, so I'm like, please, 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 like, come up with, write it out, think about it, or not. You cannot. Uh, If you comment, oh, it's because of the rock salt, I'll laugh. Just a troll if you do a troll comment. But, anyways, those are all the theories I've heard, the major ones. Then there's like some super wild ones that I won't mention. But these are the ones that have come up over and over again. Um, so with that being said, where do you think it sits?
Me?
Yeah.
I have no idea. What if I
You're like,
go?
plead
What
the
if
fifth.
it's after Breath of the Wild in the middle before the other new game?
Why?
I don't know. Looks like a lonely spot. They're not
You're
connected.
saying that to trigger me, and I know you are. I know
What do
what you're
you mean?
doing.
There's no little line connecting the two games, so what if this is the
That doesn't
connection?
mean shit.
What if
That
this
doesn't
is
mean
the
shit.
connection?
There's no Ganon in those games.
How do you know?
I played them both. What do you mean?
What if he was in the corner somewhere?
Am I getting gaslit again? Oh no, not the gaslighting, please. That's so much.
Watch 2 years later they come out and they're like, yeah, it sits right between those two games. I'll be like, I
It,
knew
there's no way. There's absolute. I would bet my entire savings on it. I said it here. I said it.
it.
There's
Okay,
no way.
so I'm gonna be traveling a bit soon
Don't
coming
worry, my
up.
bank account's $10. No, I'm playing. No, it's hard to. I'll say what I think.
Mm.
I would like it to fit on the child timeline because I'm sick and tired of them putting shit on the fallen hero timeline. However,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's because they look like chibis and children chibis.
no, because
The art style.
the chibi art style is only in Link's Awakening, and that's in the fallen hero timeline.
Oh, okay. I put it there then.
But realistically, I just can't see them using a different map. I can't get past the map thing, and I know it's such a stupid thing to focus on, But the fact that they've never done it where the map is similar to two of the games. Granted, like Link Between Worlds is inspired by Link to the Past for the map,
Mm.
but if they're following that trend, I'm like, it would just be so wild that they just like put it in another timeline. It's also wild enough for Nintendo to do it. So I don't know. But thematically, I like the child timeline better. I
Guess
want it
it's
to be
time to
there.
go work at Nintendo and find out.
I don't think they'd hire me after they're like, this girl is insane. Like I'm telling you, I look at this every day. The only day I didn't look at it was today. Watch as someone drops some other brand new bomb and it just like fits so nice and it's not anything that I've talked about and I'll just be like flip my
They
table
fit
and
my
quit.
theory.
I I've not seen a single person say that.
Time to go on Reddit and
My
stir the
eyes are
pot.
switching. I'm like,
It's time to
no,
stir the pot.
I can't. Guys, I have this theory and my cousin says it's dumb. Just want people
They
to
all go like, "Yeah, you're dumb."
they just gets downvoted to oblivion. No, I'm curious what people think. I hope I if you've listened to the podcast, you know that we are some anxious people and I have a lot of anxiety. I might not look it, but man,
As you're swaying back and forth in the
man,
chair.
man, I tell you, like when I tell you I have researched this for a really long time out of anxiety to not do the topic justice. So I hope I didn't sound too Charlie Day with the crazy whiteboard. I just like to present like every side, try to be like Switzerland. Unless if it's something so blatant that I'm like, okay,
Like
that's
my
not gonna work.
theory.
Yeah, yeah, exactly like your theory. Exactly like your theory. Your theory is whack, okay?
Wow, that hurts. I'm gonna cry
His
later.
hair, whack. Your theory, whack. I'm gonna make a new short. And like put like a music behind your voice too. You're like, oh, you mean my theory? And I'm like, your theory? Whack. It'll be a good use of my time.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's all I got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Um, write your comments. I want to know your theories. I
Agree
do
with my
know that
theory.
please don't encourage this behavior. Oh my god. If everybody writes like, yeah, actually Vicky's making a lot of sense. I'll quit the podcast. I'll just quit. I'll be like, I don't even know anymore. I don't know anything. Clearly. There's a lot of stuff uh that I think about when putting these together. So, yeah, I hope I covered it all. I hope I didn't forget something. I'm sure I did, but oh, the map has a lot of callbacks to Link to the Past too. Like little areas of the map are similar to areas in Link to the Past, like crazy similar. There's like a nice Twitter where they actually put the games side by side and you see it and it's like, "Oh wow." So that's another I'm like, it's probably on the Fallen Hero timeline, but I don't want it to be. I want them to put something out somewhere else. Put it somewhere else. Anyways, I'm done. I'm done ranting about this. I'm so glad
Are
I got
you?
to dump it all out today. Oh man, I feel my shoulders already lifting from everything. Um oh yeah, and next week we're not doing an episode.
Yep.
So that's going to be your darkest timeline week cuz you don't get to hear us babble.
They're like,
Mostly
ah,
me.
peace and quiet.
Yeah, mostly they're like, "Oh god, this world is just doesn't shut up." Professional yapper here. Um the week after that, I think you'll do one and then I I already know what I want. I'm
I don't
excited
know how you have topics. I'm sitting here like I don't fucking know what to talk about.
because my brain doesn't stop. Da 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 da.
My brain doesn't stop too, but it's just other things.
Yeah. Well, I think of stuff like I've wanted to do this topic for a while, so I wanted to cover Ghost, that band, and since it's
Mm.
October and they're kind of spooky, that would come out on Halloween. So it's a spooky ghost episode.
We should wear costume. I don't have a costume.
I have a Mario costume
I don't know if my coworkers
and
are
a
wanting us
Star
to
Wars
dress
one.
up for Halloween at work. I was thinking, do I get a Lord Farquaad costume? But it's like,
Dude, that would be sick.
but would they understand, or would they be like, "What the
No,
fuck are you
they
wearing?"
wouldn't understand.
Because I
Actually,
was gonna do Shrek, but I don't want to paint myself green. That's too much work.
I think there's masks though, or like
I'm not gonna sit for 8 hours in a
imagine with just
mask.
eye holes. Yo, that shit would look crazy. You're like, hi everyone. Hey now, you're an all-star.
Come in blasting that song on my phone.
You gotta, no, you bring like a boombox, and then you put up a sign that says "Get off my swamp."
And then later I call
Oh,
you. I'm like, so I don't have a job
weirdly enough, today was my last day.
anymore.
Purely coincidence, I'm sure. I wonder if my office will dress. I don't know. I don't know how it is over there. I got a couple. I even have like this 80s. So when I went on the cruise with my friends, we got like 80s costumes. So I have one with like rainbow cheetah print leggings and like leg warmers and like a whole with like arm warmers and stuff because we did like this 80s workout class with like shake weights and stuff. So we were
Oh
like
God.
one of the only people like we went balls to the wall dressed up. Nobody else dressed up as hard as we did. We we were the only. But hey, we had a good time. It was awesome. It was a ton of fun. And I sweat. I was sweating probably because I was wearing so much clothes. Like, because you got the leg warmers, the
Yeah,
arm
because you
warmers.
put on a lot. Like,
Yeah, but it was still. I even had the fanny pack and everything. It was sick. So I think I still have that. Yeah, I have a Joker costume, but like a girl one. So it's
mm.
like a little, it's like a Joker dress, but I think it's too scandalous for work. I think it's a little too short, so I wouldn't
I
do
have a
that.
pirate costume, but I'm not gonna wear that again. I wore it to the
You
Renaissance
come in,
Fair.
swiggity swooty, coming for that booty, and you're like, yeah. So I got let go. By the way, this is the mug your mom got me.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my blueberry tea.
Yum. I'm drinking Sprite.
It's so good. Oh my god, it's so good. It's like dessert in a cup, but like not too sweet. It's like liquid blueberries. Oh, it's so good.
Whoa. A blueberry tea that's liquid blueberries?
Man, I should do marketing. I'm like really selling this
Oh, and you froze.
with some
You
honey.
froze.
Yeah, even my computer's like, just stop.
I think
Get some
it's
help.
time to end the podcast. I think we're
Let's
done.
end the episode. I think we've done enough. Well, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Like, subscribe, comment your theories, and we'll see you next time.
My theory is good. Just say that.
Don't.
Okay, bye. Say bye.
Bye.